April 1942. In the wake of American bombers striking Tokyo, Japan vowed revenge on a nation that seemed out of reach until their scientists discovered the jet stream, a natural conveyor that could carry silent weapons across the Pacific. They built 9,300 balloons, simple constructions of paper and hydrogen, launched across the ocean undetected. Those balloons became the only foreign attack to ever kill Americans at home during World War II. But how did an ingenious weapon, dismissed by its creators, turn into tragedy? And why did no one warn the victims? The answer defies everything you thought you knew about America's home front. In the months following the Doolittle raid, Japan's military leadership faced a humiliating truth. American bombers had struck Tokyo, and Japan had no way to answer in kind. Their long-range bombers couldn't reach the US mainland. Naval power was stretched thin, yet the demand for revenge grew louder in secret meetings at the Imperial General Headquarters. Scientists at the Noborito Research Institute were ordered to find a solution that did not rely on traditional firepower or scarce metals. The answer came not from the arsenal, but from the atmosphere. Japanese meteorologists, analysing weather data from the 1920s and the 1930s, confirmed the existence of a powerful high-altitude wind, what would later be called the jet stream. This invisible river of air raced eastward across the Pacific at nearly 200 miles per hour during winter. If something could ride this current, it could travel from Japan to North America in just 3 days, bypassing every Allied defense. Strategic planners realized the jet stream offered a natural conveyor belt. The concept was simple. Launch hydrogen-filled balloons into this current, each carrying a payload designed to ignite American forests or strike civilian targets. There would be no pilots, no engines, and no need for precious metal. The weapon itself would be built from paper and paste, materials even a blockaded nation could spare. By harnessing the winds above, Japan could strike at a distant enemy, turning the atmosphere into a silent highway for war. In a factory hall in wartime Tokyo, the solution to Japan's impossible mission took shape in thousands of hands. Teenage schoolgirls, conscripted from across the country, worked in long rows gluing thin sheets of mulberry paper with sticky vegetable paste. Each balloon, when finished, measured 33 feet across, its skin just thick enough to hold hydrogen, yet light enough to ride the jet stream. The design was as clever as it was desperate. Instead of metal, every component was built from what Japan could still spare: paper, paste and rope. At the heart of each Fugo balloon was a mechanical autopilot built without electronics. A battery-powered altimeter paired with aneroid barometers sensed the balloon's altitude as it crossed the Pacific. When the hydrogen cooled and the balloon began to sink below 30,000 feet, the system would trigger a blast cap, dropping a sandbag to lighten the load and regain height. If the balloon rose too high, a relief valve vented hydrogen to prevent it from bursting. This cycle, dropping ballast and venting gas, kept the balloon floating for up to 3 days, enough time to reach North America. Suspended beneath the envelope, a steel ring carried 4 incendiary bombs and a single 33-pound high-explosive charge, all designed to ignite forests or threaten civilians. Between November 1944 and April 1945, Noborito engineers and their young assemblers produced and launched nearly 9,300 of these silent weapons, each one an unlikely marriage of resourcefulness and wartime resolve. Charred fragments of paper drifted down in forests across the Pacific Northwest. In Montana, a rancher stumbled on a tangled mass of ropes and scorched silk. In Wyoming, firefighters traced a mysterious explosion to a crater ringed with blackened pine needles. From Alaska to California, scattered reports described strange debris: sandbags split open, metal rings embedded in frozen soil, lengths of rope wound through the brush. None of it made sense to the men who found it. Local sheriffs, forest rangers, and volunteer firefighters collected what they could, shipping fragments to military labs under strict instructions to keep quiet. The Army dispatched specialized recovery squads, trained in ordnance disposal, to remote sites where balloon remnants had landed. In some cases, the teams arrived to find only scraps, shreds of mulberry paper, bits of fuse, a dusting of Japanese sand. In others, they faced unexploded bombs, their casings rusted but still deadly. Each find deepened the mystery. By spring 1945, nearly 300 incidents had been logged, but for every recovery, thousands of balloons remained unaccounted for. The threat felt both invisible and everywhere. With no official explanation, rumors spread through logging camps and farming towns. Some blamed saboteurs, others whispered about enemy agents. The real answer, locked away in classified memos and laboratory reports, remained hidden from the public. The silence only heightened the sense of unease as investigators pieced together a pattern of attacks that no one was allowed to discuss. In Washington, unease spread through the highest levels of government. Military intelligence reports warned that Japan's balloon campaign could be more than a nuisance. The real fear was invisible. Anthrax, plague, or some other biological agent carried silently across the Pacific and released over American soil. These concerns fueled urgent debates behind closed doors. In December 1944, the Office of Censorship issued a classified directive. No newspaper, radio station, or wire service was to mention the mysterious balloons, their debris, or any unexplained explosions. Editors across the country received terse memos stamped with government seals, instructing them to suppress details and avoid speculation. The blackout was total. Even local authorities were ordered to keep findings secret from their own communities. The rationale was twofold. Officials believed that public panic could be as damaging as any physical attack. At the same time, American silence would deny Japan any feedback about the campaign's impact. If no reports reached Tokyo, Japanese commanders might conclude their weapons were failing to reach the continent. This calculation proved correct. By the spring of 1945, Japanese planners received no credible evidence of success. Internal records show mounting frustration and confusion. Without confirmation, and with resources dwindling after the Showa plant was bombed, Japan halted all balloon launches in April 1945. The American blackout remained in force for months, even as unexplained incidents mounted across the West. The silence, meant to protect the public, left civilians in the dark about a threat drifting silently overhead. The policy's consequences would become painfully clear in a remote Oregon forest before the war's end. On the morning of May 5, 1945, a quiet picnic began in the pine forests near Bly, Oregon. Reverend Archie Mitchell parked the car while his pregnant wife Elsie and their 5 children wandered among the trees. In the hush of the woods, Elsie spotted something strange. A canvas shroud tangled in the undergrowth, ropes trailing through the grass. She called out, "Look what I found, dear." The words had barely left her lips when a sudden explosion shattered the silence. The blast killed Elsie, aged 26, and all 5 children instantly. Archie, still by the road, was spared by distance, but he was left utterly alone. Within hours, military officers arrived and ordered the community to say nothing. The deaths that day, 6 lives lost in an instant, stand as the only combat fatalities on the United States mainland during World War II. Secrecy meant to protect had left them defenseless against a weapon they never knew existed. Decades after the war, the story of the WWII tragedy reached the women who had assembled the Fugo balloons as schoolgirls in Tokyo. Many had never known the true purpose of their work, or that it led, by chance, to the only American deaths on home soil. When the truth surfaced, a group of these women folded 1,000 paper cranes, a gesture of peace and mourning in Japanese tradition, and sent them across the Pacific to the families in Oregon. The Mitchell Monument now stands in the quiet forest near Bly, engraved with the names of those lost. Yet the legacy of the Fugo campaign lingers. Modern bomb disposal teams still recover unexploded ordnance in the forests of the Pacific Northwest, reminders that nearly 9,000 of the original balloons remain unaccounted for. Historians point to the Fugo as the world's intercontinental weapon, a precursor in concept, if not in technology, to the missiles that would define a later era. Thousands of unexploded Fugo bombs may still lie hidden across North America, silent reminders that even distant wars can reach home in unexpected ways. As new threats emerge across invisible borders, history warns, vigilance is never obsolete. Sometimes danger drifts in on the wind and leaves no warning.